More and more companies these days are attracted by a marketplace business structure such as eBay or Amazon. A large profit margin, lower fixed costs, and the possibility to reach buyers and sellers all over the world, it all seems attractive. But is this strategy always profitable for your company, or is it better to be a traditional reseller? Let's find out. To start off, there are two types of business strategies for companies that serve as an intermediary between buyers and sellers. First, you have the traditional resellers. They buy and own the products before selling them to the customer, like supermarkets. Then there are the multi-sided platforms. They don't own the goods that are being sold, but connect a large group of buyers and sellers on a platform. A multi-sided platform gains value as more people want to buy and sell offerings there. A platform with a large offer is attractive for both buyers and sellers. eBay and Amazon have applied this strategy successfully. In the past decade, many companies wanted to incorporate this marketplace strategy in their business structure as they noticed there are some very attractive advantages. First of all, the platform takes a cut of every transaction, which goes directly to the bottom line. Also, considering an online marketplace doesn't need storage space for their products like resellers, their operating costs remain very low, which results in very high profit margins. It's also possible to pick a strategy that's a mix of both worlds. Resellers have more control over the pricing, presentation of their product, etc. On the contrary, they also have the responsibility of fulfilling every order and need to check whether the products are delivered to the customer. We think that the personal service that a reseller gives to the customer is a nice advantage and leads to more loyalty from the customer side. The choice depends on the amount of control you want over the transactions. As an example, we discuss the car sharing industry. In this industry, the pure resellers are the traditional car rental companies such as Hertz. They own the cars which they rent out to the customer. On the other side, we find newer services such as Uber and Lyft, who facilitate transactions between car owners and car users. Uber uses some standard rates for their prices. That's the reason why it isn't a pure multi-sided platform, unlike Lyft, who fix their own prices. We as students prefer companies like Uber and Lyft because they have lower prices than the traditional car rental companies.
When choosing the model that's best for your company, you have to consider 4 factors: scale effects, aggregation effects, buyer and seller experience, and market failures. 1. Scale effects. Products that are highly demanded are more likely to be sold by one large reseller than on a multi-sided platform. Let's take movies as an example. When a new blockbuster launches, there is a high demand. A reseller works best in this case because he can profit by economies of scale in purchasing, products, delivery, and so on. Older movies that aren't highly demanded can be sold on a multi-sided platform with multiple smaller sellers. There are a few people who want to buy and sell this product, but it isn't profitable enough for a reseller to have it constantly in stock. 2. Aggregation effects. Some products have a much higher value when bought together. Let's take iTunes as an example. The low music prices led to increasing sales of the Apple iPods. If Apple gave control over the music prices to the individual record labels and didn't use their uniform prices, the iPod wouldn't be such a great success. A reseller like Apple is a lot better at combining the sales of the complementary products in this case. The App Store, on the contrary, is a multi-sided platform. Because there are so many app developers, it is better to let them compete so the prices stay extremely low. It's also possible as a reseller to use strategies such as bundling and loss leader pricing. Bundling TV channels, for example, can lead to a larger revenue when sold together. An example of a loss leader pricing strategy are printers. The printer is sold below the cost and the producer makes up for that with higher prices on the ink. 3. The buyer and seller experiences. Although multi-sided platforms are perfect for matching multiple buyers with sellers, the reseller model is more preferable in some situations. When one side does not want to deal with multiple agents on the other side, traditional resellers are the better choice. This explains the shift that Zappos made from multi-sided platform to reseller. Zappos discovered that buyers were more loyal if they were offered a great retail experience, which includes guaranteed fast delivery, a good return policy, and so on. This lets Zappos to build its own warehouses and take complete control over interactions with end users. In other words, become a reseller. Alternatively, there are also resale companies who buy and resell products on multi-sided platforms such as eBay. They make use of the disadvantage of the individual sellers, like us, who lack the expertise, credibility, and time to compete with these professional companies. We think this is quite unfair against individuals who don't have the scale advantages, money, and market knowledge to compete with these companies. However, some multi-sided platforms still manage to achieve great experiences for both buyers and sellers. 4. Market failures. As we all know, markets fail from time to time. The most important cause of these failures is uncertainty about product quality or about the reliability of sellers or suppliers. A lot of multi-sided platforms have succeeded at solving this problem without changing their business model. An example is Airbnb, which has several features that keep both sides honest. One of their features includes that the renter's payment is only released to the owner 24 hours after the renter has checked in and confirmed that the location is as described. Still, these mechanisms are not always the answer to this problem. Sometimes it is inevitable to move closer to a reseller model by taking more control over transactions. Another problem that a multi-sided platform cannot easily solve is when one side has an information or bargaining advantage over the other. It is likely that the weaker party won't participate. Some companies have solved this by turning into a reseller. They try to correct the power imbalance between the two parties by negotiating with big companies on behalf of the weaker party.
Imagine you are a startup entering a new industry and you have chosen to be a multi-sided platform. Then there is one problem. To attract buyers to your platform, you need enough sellers, and to attract sellers to your platform, you need enough buyers. This is an example of what we call the catch-22 problem. A way of getting out of this vicious circle is focusing on a small niche and growing from there, or starting as a reseller for an interim period. This is what Amazon did. They mainly bought and sold books and ended up with a large amount of buyers before trying to attract sellers. Then there are companies who start off as a multi-sided platform due to a lack of resources, but are planning to become a reseller in the long run. A multi-sided platform could offer a solution for them because of its low capital and operating costs. The multi-sided platform gained a lot of popularity with the rise of the internet and mobile communication technologies. This enabled buyers and sellers to interact directly without the need of intermediaries. Because of this, a serious amount of resellers are subject to disruption by online and mobile-based multi-sided platforms. In summary, if your answer to one of these questions below is yes, then you should consider reselling as your model. 1. Are there significant economies of scale to be exploited? 2. Can your company create much more value by bundling or by selling complementary goods? 3. Do buyers derive significant benefits from aggregation? 4. Is your company able to create a better buyer or seller experience by taking control of transactions? 5. Do buyers need to be protected from sellers or vice versa? 6. Does one side has an information or bargaining advantage? So, the real question is, do you really want to be an eBay?